So I'm not too sure if this AFL team received the most hate in the AFL trade period, but there was definitely a lot of hate and animosity really coming towards this team for a reason that might have been semi-valid for some, and definitely for some Eagles fans who didn't like what they did, but a reason that I think personally was a little bit too over dramatic, because I might be in the minority here, but I actually kind of happen to really like what the West Coast Eagles did for the most part in not only the trade period, the draft, but for the most part, again, the off season. Before I do get into that and why I actually think the Eagles, and yes, I'm about to say this, aren't actually as far off with making AFL finals as what you might potentially be, I just still like to say there's still a decent amount of you guys who watch these videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you could do me a massive favor and, leave a like on this video, let me know you guys enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel for the latest AFL content and news. And again, we'll get straight into it with a couple of factors. And the first and foremost, the one that really kind of started the controversy was, I think, the Liam Baker free agent trade, which I don't think was intended to be controversial and was probably seen by West Coast to be a really good move, until they, of course, fell into this massive rabbit hole that unfortunately saw them having to kind of trade away pick 3 because they couldn't get the pick that Richmond really wanted for Liam Baker. Again, they didn't really have much of a leeway in the conversation with Richmond. They kind of had to trade, a decent sum for Liam Baker, because a lot of people were saying, well, West Coast should just let Liam Baker walk into, the draft where they could literally just get him for free in the preseason and whatnot. But what, of course, people don't realize is that Richmond had the number 1 pick in that if they wanted to, and just could have retaken him, and it would have been one of the weirdest situations in the AFL in its history, where you would have had a player be technically on a team, but he doesn't want to be there, and it's a really weird situation. So West Coast found a way to get Liam Baker in. They ended up doing this massive deal that had to send pick 3 away to Carlton, where they were, of course, able to get back 14, which ended up being used for Liam Baker, Matt Owies, pick 12, who actually became Bo Allen. So it was definitely a controversial trade, because giving up pick 3 is a very tough thing, and it's something that a lot of people will say that usually doesn't happen, and when it does happen, you get a great capital in. But some people would say that West Coast got an average pick for it, and they got the 2 role players. But the end of the day is, I kind of disagree, because I actually really like the role players that they brought in. First of all, Liam Baker was my favorite player at Richmond. I think he was an absolute star, especially in those, 2021 to 2023 years. And I think he finished top 5 or top 6 in Richmond's best and fairest this year. And that was in a year where you could tell he kind of seemed checked out, and he didn't seem like he was really fully committed anymore. And he had kind of made it, I think, pretty known to the club, most likely, that he was going to be a Western Australian player of some sort. So I think personally they're bringing in one of the league's most underrated players who can literally play absolutely anywhere they need. He can be a really good, hard, tough, quick midfielder. He can be a really good defender off halfback who's got really good run and carry, very good quick small forward as well, who could kick you a goal and a goal a game. And you've also gone from not only that to Matt Owies, who I personally like as a player too. And although I think his pressure game certainly needs a lot of work, he can definitely hit the scoreboard, and he just adds another option to that West Coast forward line, and I think he'll be a good player there. So those 2 players were good, but then Bo Allen was the one that interested me, because there were a lot of people at the end of the day who ended up having Bo Allen in the top 10, And we heard a couple days before the draft started that Richmond were very heavily linked to Beau Allen at that 7th overall pick, but of course decided to take Josh Smiley for certain reasons. But it also was like Richmond were looking at Beau Allen again at, I think it was pick 11 or whatever they had at the time, but ended up going with a different direction as well. So the end of the day was Beau Allen was seen by a lot of teams as a potential top 10 player just due to, how teams selected and whatnot. He was luckily for West Coast able to fall all the way to their pick 15, I think it was, meaning that they basically got a top 10 talent at 15. And if we do want to say that he was going to be worth like a pick 7 or a pick 8, you really look at the fact that West Coast basically traded away then pick 3 for a player that they value at like 7 or 8 and 2 extremely good role players who are going to come in and help their team. Again, I think personally that's a good trade in my opinion. I might be in the minority there. I might be a little bit wrong, but I like that move as far as they are concerned. Again, I also love the Andrew McQualter hire as their coach. I genuinely believe Richmond probably should have gone with McQualter in the end. But realistically, with how Richmond are changing their style and looks like they're going for a more contested base game, it does look like Uze should hopefully be the correct decision. But I think with West Coast looking like they're trying to go a lot more quicker and change their game style up too, McQualter will be a great fit. And then signing McQualter also meant they got Jack Graham, who once upon a time in the league was a very good role player. Again, 2021 he finished 2nd in Richmond's Best and Fairest, the team that won the flag the year before. He played some really good footy before injuries in 22. 23 he was on and off, and then 24 he was often just terrible, which I will be honest about. But in saying that, I think there is belief amongst Andrew McQualter and people like Matt Clark that they can get that 2021, 2022 Jack Graham back, who's a 18 to 20 disposal per game guy who can tag and uses the ball really well. So at the end of the day, that was a good signing too. So there were a lot of other moves. Again, even getting Tom Gross and Job Shanahan as draft steals too. There's a lot to really look forward to potentially watching at West Coast next year. And I think they're very close to a jump. Again, I don't think they are right there yet, because I believe that teams like North are going to potentially jump this year, while I think, some other teams, maybe like an Essendon, will probably fall down. I think West Coast are maybe 1 year off the jump, so I think they will probably finish bottom 4 this year again. But the realistic thing is, they not only have their first round pick this year, but I believe they have Hawthorn's first round pick. They've got their first round pick in the next year too. There will be a situation, I believe, where they will not only keep their top 4 pick and try and take a really good player, but they are going to really try and convince a player like Chad Warner to come into their team. And I think if they can part ways with maybe that Hawthorn first, a future first, whoever else, maybe a player wants to get shipped off to Sydney, it probably still won't be enough. Sydney are going to go for that top 5 pick. But even if maybe they just move that top 5 pick for Warner and they move their other pick into this year's draft, you could be looking at them adding not only Chad Warner to the team, but maybe Hawthorn's like pick 14, maybe another like pick 12 or something like that, and bringing in another 3 really solid players. And that's not even talking about them potentially even just signing another guy in free agency. So realistically, this could be a massive growth year for West Coast. Then they can go and hit free agency, bring in Chad Warner, who could be a top 10 player if he isn't already, draft heavily again, maybe even sign another guy. And with another year of Andrew McQualter's coaching, don't be surprised if that West Coast team jumps dramatically, and I think is contending for a top 8 spot maybe by 2027 or something like that. That's realistically how I think. I don't think this rebuild is going to be as long as what some people think. I think they have a lot of great pieces in there, and if you're going to have a midfield in a couple years that's like Harley Reid, Beau Allen, Chad Warner, Liam Baker, Jack Graham, Tim Kelly, etc., even Ruben Chimby, all those type of players, holy crap, that is putting hair on my balls as we speak. Like, that is really a crazy team. So I think the West Coast Eagles had an underrated offseason. I think they are closer to making the 8 than we probably think. Again, it will still take another year or two, latest 3, but they are getting there, and there will be continuous free agents who are going to want to go back and play at West Coast. I mean, we literally just saw a picture of Marcus Bontempelli roaming around on the West Coast field, which makes no sense. I don't know why he was there. That man could have gone to any oval in Perth, and he went to freaking West Coast facilities to go and do a run. I mean, shit, he could have just gone to freaking Anytime Fitness or something. He decided to go to West Coast Eagles oval to run. I don't really know what's going on there, but he's a free agent this year too. Imagine if they brought in Bond and Warner. Jesus, we're playing some NBA 2K stuff now, but you know, if you guys are West Coast fans, as AFL fans in general, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below about this move, and what do you guys think? Do you guys think West Coast could be, you know, contending very, very soon? How do you guys think they're all going to go about that? I'd very much like to know. Of course, subscribe to my gaming channel, my IRL/long channel, and this channel for all latest sports content news. And as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.